All right, today we're diving into a theory that is, well, it's a real mind bender. It's called Changism, and it doesn't just ask us to rethink time, it suggests that our entire picture of reality might be fundamentally backwards. Seriously, just for a second, how do you actually imagine time? What's the picture in your head? Is it a line stretching out forever? Maybe some kind of dimension we're traveling through? These little mental pictures we have are super important, but what if they're completely wrong? Most of us, and I mean most of us, land in one of two places. You've got the poetic idea, right? Time is a flowing river just carrying us along. It feels intuitive, but it's fuzzy. Then you have the physics version, the block universe. The whole of reality, past, present, future, is just a single, frozen, four-dimensional block. But that just feels wrong, doesn't it? It kind of kills the whole idea of anything genuinely new happening. Well, Changism comes along and says, what if both of those are just bad metaphors? It proposes a third way, a totally new story that tries to bridge the gap between our gut feeling that the world is alive and changing and the static picture that physics sometimes gives us. And listen, this isn't just a small tweak. We are talking about a conceptual revolution here. Think about it like Copernicus. Everyone knew the sun went around the Earth. It was obvious. But by making one brave switch, putting the sun at the center, suddenly all the weird, complicated epicycles just disappeared. Changism is trying to do the same thing for time, and if it's right, it might just solve some of the biggest headaches in physics today. So here it is. This is the big flip. The old story says that things, stuff, exists inside a container we call time. Changism says nope, that's backwards. Change is the real fundamental stuff of the universe. And time is just the ruler we invented to measure all that change. We don't live in time. We measure change with time. Okay, so if change is what's really real, what does that mean for things? We like to think the world is made of little building blocks, little particles, that then move around. But what if we've got the story upside down? In this new picture, a thing isn't a static lump of matter. A thing is a stable pattern of doing. It's a performance, a process that holds its shape by constantly, actively remaking itself moment to moment. And you see these everywhere once you start looking. Think of a candle flame. It has a shape, right? But the actual wax and air are constantly flowing through it. Or a whirlpool in a river. It stays in one place, but it's made of constantly changing water. Even a traffic jam. The jam itself has a location and a shape, but the cars that make it up are always different. The thing in all these cases is the pattern, not the parts. There's this fantastic quote that just nails it. The identity of that flame, or that whirlpool, or it's not in the specific atoms that are passing through. It's in the pattern of how they all work together. It's the choreography of the whole show. All right, so if things are just patterns of change, then what in the world is time itself? If it's not the container for reality, what is it doing? Let's just break down what a clock actually is. I mean, any clock, a grandfather clock or an atomic one. It's just three simple parts. You've got a repeater, some process that just happens over and over and over again. You've got a counter to, count the repeats. And then you have a rule, a totally human agreement that says, okay, this many counts, we're going to call that 1 second. That's literally it. So what this means is that time isn't some invisible substance flowing around us. It's just bookkeeping. It's a ledger, a notebook, where we keep track of the counts of one repeating change compared to all the other changes happening around it. That's all 5 seconds means. And this gives us a much more powerful metaphor. The old block universe view says reality is like a finished movie reel, with every frame, past, present, future, already there. Changism says, no way. The universe isn't the film in the can. The universe is the movie being projected on the screen, right now. It's the performance as it's happening. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. There's a giant, Einstein-shaped elephant in the room. How does any of this square with relativity, which seems to completely destroy the idea of one single universal now? Let's tackle that. This really is the biggest hurdle, right? We've all heard that what's now for me isn't now for someone flying past in a spaceship. So if there's no single now, how can there be one ongoing universal performance? The answer here is actually incredibly elegant.
It's about making a crucial distinction between what exists and what we can know about what exists. Think of relativity's light cones as our cosmic horizon. They define what information can physically get to us. But just because a distant galaxy is happening outside our light cone right now doesn't mean it isn't real. Our inability to get a signal from it doesn't make it vanish from existence.
And this part is absolutely critical. This new story doesn't change a single bit of the successful physics. All the predictions of relativity, time slowing down when you move fast, the twin paradox, the GPS corrections our phones need to work, all of it stays perfectly intact. It just re-explains why it happens. A clock's rate isn't changing because time itself is stretching. It's changing because the physical process of that clock is affected by gravity and motion. So what we have here is a different story about the same successful math. And just like with Copernicus, changing the story can have huge consequences. Puzzles in cosmology like dark energy or the Hubble tension, these problems come from thinking of the universe as a thing expanding in time. If that's the wrong starting point, these puzzles might not be mysteries of the cosmos, but just artifacts of a bad metaphor.
So let's bring it all home. We've flipped time and change, we've redefined a thing as a pattern of doing, and we've demoted time to a ledger. Where does that leave us? What kind of world is this, and what does it mean for us?
Well, the fancy philosophical name for this point of view is process monism. And all that means is there's just one world, and that one world is fundamentally an activity. It's a happening. It's not a warehouse full of static objects. It's a universe that is, at its core, a verb, not a noun. And if you want the entire theory in one single sentence, this is it. You have one world, one global performance, continuously becoming. And scattered throughout that performance are countless observers like us, each keeping their own local notebook, their own ledger, limited by the speed of light. The ledger is not the world. So that's the question I want to leave you with. If this story is right, what are you? Are you a static object that's just being pushed along through time, with things happening to you? Or are you the performance itself? Are you like that flame or that whirlpool, a stable, self-remaking pattern of doing, a choreography that is actively, constantly becoming?